Today we're going to take a look at the drums for this song, Blind Faith.
Blind faith, I won't make it. Full stop when I wake up.
And we're going to talk about how I mix live drums and drum machine drums to create a cool retro 80s pop sound. So let's jump into the video. So like I said, today we're looking at the song Blind Faith by my buddy Caton's new band, Free Company. Go down in the description for a link to go check it out and follow his band. When Caton came to me with Free Company, the objective was to create a cool 80s synthy pop vibe. And with that sound comes the old drum machine sound. We ended up blending Linn drum samples with live drums to create a hybrid, really big drum sound. The Linn drum machine was a drum machine that was introduced in the early 1980s, and from $3,000 to $5,500, they were by no means affordable. Early on, it was used by Peter Gabriel and Fleetwood Mac, and later on it was picked up by Michael Jackson and most iconically, Prince. The other half of the drum sound when he brought these songs to me were programmed with Sterloid drums from I Want That Sound, and the mix from the demos was honestly pretty dang good sounding. The original plan was to replace the Sterloid drums with the live drums, but as you'll see, we ended up keeping all of it. So when we tracked the drums, we tracked it all, but I ended up muting the close mics and just using them to line up to the MIDI drums. And in the mix, all you're hearing is the overheads and the room tracks. So let's jump into Pro Tools and take a look at the part we're going to listen to, which is the last measure of the pre-chorus into the chorus. And we'll listen without everything else, just the drum mix. A really cool, really fat sounding drum mix. So let's run through the elements real quick. These first few tracks that you're seeing are this tom fill that go from the pre-chorus into the chorus. These stereo tools are just a panning plugin that I use to pan stereo tracks in Pro Tools. Going left, going right, one in the center just stays in the center. The third tom I felt like wasn't beefy enough, so we added a little bit. The next track is this clap track, doing that syncopated clap. The next track is this hi-hat track. And you can see the volume fluctuates a little. It's supposed to mimic a live hi-hat played by a drummer. We just cut a little top here. We ran this compressor to clamp down on some of the dynamics of it. So you can see doing a fair bit of compression. Stereo tool, again, just panning it off to the left. And space modulator. Not too heavy-handed, just giving a little bit of that 80s chorusy sound. Then our Linn drum samples, which is what the whole thing is based around. Snare's already got a little bit of reverb on it. The only thing we did is nothing. And on the kick, a phase flip. They already sound great, and these samples are available to download on Splice, which is where we got these from. There's a whole ton of samples and a lot of different pitches and a lot of different sounds from the Linn drum machine that you can go check out. Then the next track is the Sterloid drums, which is what we set out to replace and ended up not replacing because they sound so cool. You can hear it here. And I ended up just blasting it with UBK. So where there was some of that close mic sound, now we've crushed it into a very roomy sound, which lends itself to putting with a really punchy Linn kick and snare. All of those tracks are run into this MIDI drum bus. Trim, just bring the level down. Little radiator, which I really love for drums. Not doing a whole lot, almost just the way it is when you open it. Turn the noise off. A dB of heat, a little Pro Tools EQ, cutting a little of that low end. 1K, that kind of like snappiness, and then adding a little top end. Yeah, really nice sounding. Then the next part is the live drums. First track is just a mono overhead, tracked with a AKG C414. With overheads, I usually cut around this 400 area. It's kind of like the boxy snare tone, and then giving a little top, a little low pass filter, and then a little high pass filter. $1176, doing a little crush to it. And the last Pro Q on all these tracks is just a volume dip. When we first mix it, thought it sounded great, but a little loud with the live drums, so we brought them all down 3 decibels. Stereo room, ribbon mics. So we see we lost a lot of volume when we take the plugins off. High pass with a little resonance filter at 200-ish, getting that snare beef, and then a little low pass filter. Big volume jump with Devil Lock, doing quite a bit. I love Devil Lock for rooms. I think it sounds really cool. This mic, Live Room Far, is my Aventone CV12 tube mic, run all the way through my entire vocal chain. It's in the vocal room with the door closed, which is a separate room to where I track drums. The only difference would be the EQ has the top end rolled off of 5K. And this mic always sounds good, just straight out. I didn't do any EQ and I just did the 3 decibel drop. Live drums all together. And yeah, let's take a listen to this, what it sounds like without the live drums. It already sounds good, but let's add the live tracks. It's kind of subtle, but it's kind of not. The MIDI hi-hat is where it keeps the drums in that drum machine type feel, and the live drums add back that live drummer feel. It just ended up being a really cool mix, having it all in there. Like I said, we wanted to replace the Sterloid drums, but listen without. So that funky, quacky room sound that comes with Sterloid really fit this mix super well. We couldn't get rid of it. Obviously, I would have mixed it a little different without Sterloid, but just having it in there sounds so good. There was no way we could get rid of it. The only other thing happening with this drum mix is a drum bus EQ, decibel and a half at 2.3K, and a tiny dip at 3300, negative a dB and a half. So not a lot, no compression on the drum bus, and that's the drum sound for Blind Faith. I was really hyped when Caden brought me this project because I think the songs are so cool. They're a bit different than the stuff I typically work on, but super catchy, super punchy, 80s sound, really cool. If you want to check his band out, go to the description. I'll have his band linked. I'll have this song's music video linked in the description as well. And if you have other questions about the drums or about any other element of this song, leave them down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.